Raúl Malo is our guest. He, of course, is from the Mavericks. They've got the new album in Espanol, and going to be at Knuckleheads coming up Friday and Saturday, May 14th and 15th. We have been missing you, Raúl.
And believe me, it's, of course, it's been tough for everybody, but playing music, man, we had such a great year planned, and everybody did, of course. So it's weird now to finish playing a song and there's no applause, it's virtual, but that's okay. We're going to get there, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get back to Knuckleheads.
We were talking just briefly before the interview started about how, you're at home. And so, things are like, kind of caged in and all of that. And, we listen to so much music that, you don't really expect to have like an emotional reaction to it necessarily because of just the volume of it. And so like my wife and I are big fans, but I just put it in, okay, it's an all Spanish language record. Here we go. And really quite quickly, it was like this wave of emotion comes over me. Keep in mind, I don't speak Spanish. Sure. And it's like, what is this? Yeah. Why is this happening to me? And I played it to my wife, and I'm like, I'm getting teary-eyed. And I played it for my wife, and she starts crying. She doesn't speak Spanish either. I think that one of the early things about this record is that you do not need to understand the language to be moved.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, to me, it's like, when you listen to opera, or if you listen to opera and you hear it, some pieces like move you to tears, and you have no idea why. And that's happened to me throughout the years. Whenever sometimes you'll hear a piece of music that for whatever reason it just hits you, and I don't think you necessarily have to understand the language to understand its meaning. And I think music is one of those forms, one of those mediums that allows for that sort of freedom, that sort of emotional reaction to something that you may not completely comprehend or understand. And I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. So
yeah, I was thinking about this, and we all carry our own perceptions into something. If you had announced an English-speaking album, it's like, okay, well, is it grunge? Is it polkas? What is it? Right. And you sort of brought a similar inclusive tone to this project. This is music from Mexico. It's music from Cuba. It's music from Argentina.
Yeah, we didn't when we started this. I mean, even in its inception, with just the plain mission statement of really just making an album in Spanish. That was the objective. And so then you start to go through the next phase, and it's like, well, okay, what kind of record is it going to be? What is it going to be? This kind of record, or this kind of record, or this? And you go through all that sort of a emotional roller coaster, and really at the end, I really just wanted it to be, an inclusive record, like you just said. Yeah, I grew up in a household where we listened to all kinds of music. And even though, of course, my parents are Cuban and I'm from a Cuban family, the international tastes were abounded in my house, and they were, and we listened to everything: Colombian music, Argentinian music, Mexican music. My granddad had a beautiful voice, and so we listened to all kinds of music. And I just remember it was a celebration of all these cultures, and it was at least that's the way it was in my house, and we had my parents had all kinds of friends, Colombian friends, Mexican friends, Argentinian friends, all, Miami's an international city. And so, and I did too. I had friends from all over the place. And I love that about Miami. And I love that about the way I grew up. I didn't think about it much. I took it for granted my whole life, and now, lo and behold, it's such a big deal, and it's such a You know, it's a wedge issue, and it's a and of course, you know, everything's a wedge issue now. But you know, I wanted this record. It doesn't have any political messages to speak of. Really, it's a tribute, and it's an homage, I guess, to the variety of Latin cultures that exist here in this country at this moment. And one of the things that makes us, I think, the great country that we are.
You know, you've made political records in the past.
Yeah.
And this one wasn't really intended to be one, but it is sort of, you know, it's the right album at the right time. Can we just put it that way?
Well, you know, the irony is not lost on any of us that here is, you know, an English speaking singing band that has had success in the American marketplace, that at this point in time and at this stage in their career have released an all Spanish record. And you know, you would think that this was some master plan or some genius, but it really wasn't. We really, like I said when we started, we put no time limit on this thing, and we when it's done, it's done. And you know, we went months and months, and we would record here and there, and last year we were coming around thinking that maybe it was the end of the record, but I still had a few songs left that I wanted to really either work on or write. It didn't feel complete to me. And so we just okay, that's fine, you know. So then we put it off till this year, and we didn't finish this record until February, and that was the recording session that where I recorded Poder Vivir, which is one of the singles on the record, and we recorded La Sitiera, which is the opening track. And La Sitiera it's funny that the opening song, the first song that you hear on the record, is the last song we recorded.
Yeah. And the original, and I'm just terrible at pronunciation, but Omara
Portuondo.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that.
I'm helping you out.
And one of the people that's associated with the Buena Vista Social Club.
Yes.
You know, I just that song is the first song on the record, so that's the one that just sort of swept over me and just slayed me.
Thank you.
And I did go back and find the original too. You know, and it's an interesting contrast, and I did that on several of the albums.
Sure.
And of the tracks, and honestly, Raúl, it feels like you guys gave a lot of these songs the production value that they've always deserved.
Well, thank you for saying that. You know, we worked really hard on these arrangements. I really I thought a lot about these, and they go hand in hand with the concept of the record, which is why I wanted to record it with the Mavericks, because I didn't want it to be a salsa record or a cumbia record or a Mexican record or a mariachi record. I wanted it to be, again, you know, just like a bit of a hodgepodge, you know, basically a Mavericks record. And that's what it is. It's the Mavericks in Spanish. If we were singing in English, nobody would, I don't think we'd be having, you know, I don't think it'd be that big a deal. But the fact that it is in Spanish, there's a continuity to it, you know, where I think the Mavericks bring, you know, we're able to tailor make the arrangements for the band's strengths. Honestly, you know, we're not a salsa band, we're not a mariachi band, so and by doing so, I think you make a record that has that can grab not only, you know, the Spanish speaking population, but you can grab anybody, because anybody can relate to the music. Anyone can relate to the music. It's not too colloquial. It's not too. It's what we do. We throw everything in the mix, and it's sort of it becomes for the world to describe, not for us, you know. And that's fine. That's fine by me. So there was a lot of thought and effort that went into it. And sometimes, I would have, like La Sitiera, I pretty much had that idea for that arrangement um early on. I mean, we played it live, and then when we added the strings to it, we were able to add the Nashville Symphony to it. That's when it just drove it home, and it gives you that emotional lift, but sometimes we would work on arrangements, sometimes it was just so much as like, hey, let me play you a little bit of this, and then the guys would start jumping in, and we would just figure out something collectively. Sometimes I direct a little more, sometimes a little less. It really just depended on the song and the moment.
Our guest today is Raúl Malo. The Mavericks' new album is in Espanol. Raúl, we talked about your parents being Cuban, and of course your grandparents. And then your dad, though, also brought country. Your mom brought rock. You had an aunt your mom was big bands and crooners, and your aunt was rock. Got to get
Yeah.
that right. So you had the whole stew. But I really think this record, and just this is from afar, tell me if I'm wrong, this is your grandfather, right? He's the one who gave you your first guitar.
Yeah.
And you cover a song that gave him that wave of emotion. You've spoken about him crying listening to this song. Julio Iglesias cover, actually.
Yeah, that was one of the first songs that I had put on a master list of songs to possibly cover for this record. And I made a demo of it years ago, and that one was one of those where I had a clear idea of the arrangement of what I wanted to do, what I wanted it to sound like, and then we just went after it. And I wanted it to, because to me it sounded like that song always resonated to me in the way that a Jon Hart song would resonate, or that the Harry Nilsson song, the Fred Neil, Everybody's Talking, or that kind of where folk meets country meets storytelling, somewhere and that song reminded me of that type of songwriting. And it is that type of songwriting. It's just for Julio, of course, he arranges it for his way.
Right.
But a lot of the times, like on a song like that, you have to treat it whereas if, and it's a suspended disbelief, of course, but you have to make it like as if Julio Iglesias were a struggling artist and he sent you that demo and you heard it for the first time. What would you do with it? And that's how we approach how we arrange songs. Otherwise, you just end up either emulating the same thing or just falling short of it, or just and if it's a song, the type of song that could be manipulated to your way, to change it to, and that sounds kind of crass, you're manipulating it, but you're kind of you're sculpting it, you're kind of you're making it yours, kind of your own way. It's a testament to a great piece of music that it could be heard several different ways and still retain its meaning and its emotional and its emotional not grasp, but its emotional hold on you.
Our guest today is Raúl Malo of the Mavericks, a new album in Espanol. Some of these songs have been a part of your live show for a long time, and of course you've touched base on this kind of material with Los Super 7 and also your solo work. I was wondering, though, about the PBS documentary that you did about 3 years ago, The Havana Time Machine, and if that was some kind of catalyst to make you want to go back and finish this thing you've been thinking about for so long.
I would absolutely say that yes, that trip was a catalyst for a lot of things, and certainly after being there and seeing the people and meeting the people and just kind of it just affected me in a very deep way that I never really I never really talk much about, until we get to interviews, but it made me realize that it affected me in a way where I started to take action and do stuff, because the only way we can affect any sort of change, I mean, I can talk about politics and piss off half the room, or play them a pretty song and try to win them that way, and try to get people to maybe think about things a little differently, or and the thing that about Cuba that was so deeply personal, of course, was my ties to the family, and hearing what you hear in your whole life, and then going over there and seeing the results of really that kind of thinking, and I wanted to start making a difference, and I wanted to start doing stuff. We're not getting any younger, and so it that trip inspired a lot of things, and this record, it definitely lit a match under us to get this done.
One of the things that came out of that trip to Cuba was your affiliation with Sweet Lizzie Project,
Yeah.
You've been helping out, and they not only appear as performers on the some of the members appear as performers, but also helped out on a co-write.
Yeah. Well, Sweet Lizzie, the Sweet Lizzie Project is the for those of you tuning in just now, they're the band that we met on that trip to Cuba and brought them over and signed them to our record label, and they've since released a record, and of course we were going to be on the road and everything was going to be perfect, and then and then COVID hit, but they're doing all right. They're hanging in there as best they can, and connecting with their fans. And anyways, and we one of the things that when we started, I wanted to have some original songs on the record, and I had already written one by myself, and it stood up. It made the record. It stood. But I knew I had other songs, and I had a lot of music, and I had a lot of titles and concrete ideas, but I didn't have the vocabulary to finish the songs, because it's different. I speak it fluently, and I can read it, and I can write a few things, but it's another thing to write a song and to try to match, anyways, rhyme it and find the words and find everything that and it has to sound proper, it has to sound good as well. So we we spend a lot of time together in the last year or so, and so not only did we bring over Sweet Lizzie, the Sweet Lizzie Project, but along with them came over a very talented young man and his fiance, and he's an amazing songwriter, videographer, cinematographer, photographer as well, and he's Alejandro Menendez Vega, and we wrote a couple of the songs on this record. It was nice to have some young talented very talented writers handy, that speak perfect Spanish. So it was nice.
I don't think I have ever used this word in conversation before, but there was a talisman in the room. It was an 89-year-old Argentinian rhyming dictionary.
Yeah.
What was it the age of it that made it so special, or?
Well, certainly that, I mean, some of the language, it's really amazing. It was really fun diving into that world, because some of the language in that book, it's not even used anymore, and you wonder why, because some of it is so beautiful and so. But it's like anything, if you read a letter from George Washington, you would understand half of it probably, so there's a little bit of that, but there was a lot of useful words and phrases and things in there that were really amazing.
Our guest today, Raúl Malo. The Mavericks' new album is En Espanol. It is absolutely gorgeous. The Mavericks play at Knuckleheads Friday and Saturday, May 14th and 15th, 2021. And, I just have to also say, I was so happy to see Flaco Jimenez
Yeah.
part of this album. He was he's been a part of what you do.
Oh, yeah.
For a very long time. All you ever do is bring me down. He was on that one.
Man, it to have Flaco on this record, it means so much. And part of the reason is what you just mentioned. He played on All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down, which is in the history of the Mavericks it's one of its most important songs, and heck, we close every show with it. And it was the first time we had mixed this sound with ours, and we're creating this sort of hodgepodge of of this blending of cultures and combining country music with Tejano, and it set us on this path that set us apart from just about everybody else at the time. And then it just kept us on this path that we have been on and expanding on since that time. It was like it's like Flaco was first contact. It was really awesome. And to have him here on this record, not only on our first Spanish record, but playing on a Juan Gabriel record song, which is Juan Gabriel is just he's one of the idols of Mexican music, world music all over the world. To have Flaco on here was really an honor, a thrill, and I'm so proud to have been able to do that.
Our guest today has been Raúl Malo, and the Mavericks' new album is En Espanol, and it is absolutely gorgeous, whether you speak Spanish or not. It is just amazing. Mavericks at Knuckleheads Friday and Saturday, May 14th and 15th. Raúl, it is always just such an incredible pleasure. It's an honor to be able to talk with you.
Thanks, man. Nice to see you. And I can't wait for May 14th and 15th, man. It's gonna be glorious. Oh my.
Yeah, fun. Thanks, Raúl.
Yeah, thank you.